You're listening to Talk Amongst Yourself, the solo space where we pause, reflect, and get radically honest about the messy magic of being human. I'm Kayleen, and today we're calling out a lie, the lie that says you should have it all figured out, that your house should be spotless, your inbox should be zero, your mental health thriving, and your skin glowing, all at the same time. Let's talk about the myth of having it all together and why chasing it is breaking us. We live in a world of highlight reels, curated feeds, hustle culture. And somewhere along the way, doing your best got replaced with doing it all. But here's the truth, no one has it all together. Not the influencer, not your boss, not even your therapist. The myth thrives because we're afraid to admit we are struggling. But pretending is exhausting and it keeps us disconnected. I don't know about you, but man, trying to put it out there and trying to act like everything is all good all the time, 24/7 is just so exhausting. It is, at least for me. I mean, I can't speak for you. I can't speak for everybody else. I can only speak for myself. I mean, there's pressure across roles, being a parent, being a partner, you're professional, etc. It goes on and on and on. I think about the emotional toll of comparison. Let's talk about comparison. I think that our society is built on comparison, right? You think about the high school years when, if you were a cheerleader, you got that quarterback, that's how that was supposed to go. That is a good comparison. Cheerleaders always went for that quarterback, and whoever had that quarterback was the best cheerleader of them all. Um, it's just and then we got the burnout, you know. There was this week where I looked like I had it all together. Um, I was showing up, I was smiling, I was checking those boxes, but inside I was unraveling. I've had to learn that together doesn't mean polished, it doesn't mean perfection. It means honest. It means asking for help. It means letting the dishes sit in the sink because your soul needed to rest more than your kitchen needed to sparkle. Um, and I think that's really hard for a lot of people. Is we're expected to go to work, come home, take care of the kids, take care of the kitchen, make dinner, make sure your husband is happy, or I mean, not really your wife, because I got to tell you, it's a little bit different. I've been married to both. So I've had a husband and I've had a wife, but and they're very two different things, very two different things. I think I may possibly be one of the lucky ones in the world where it doesn't matter. Whether you're a male or a female, I can love either or. So I think that I am a lucky one. I am lucky that I get to choose. And currently, and towards the latter part of my life, I have chosen a woman. I mean, that's fact. And I have been married to a man that cheated on me. Um, I am definitely not perfect. There are a lot of things in my past. We always put on this facade because we're expected, we go by societal norms, right? We're expected to be perfect. We're expected to never fail. We're expected to push forward. But I feel like it depends on your background. I mean, there are people that are expected to fail, are looked at as just another statistic. And I think that that makes it the easy way out. When people look at you and they expect you to be one way or another, and you actually live up to that expectation. Um, and I think a lot of people end up actually being that expectation of others because they don't expect anything better of themselves. I hope that makes sense. We talk about breaking the generational cycles, right? You look at my family, for example. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about it. I come from a family of five girls. I am the first to graduate high school. I was the last born. I am the first to go to college and get a college degree. The expectations that I put on myself were probably harder than anybody can imagine. We're probably, how do I say this? Like, I have higher expectations of myself than probably my family did. But I am the one who thought, you know what? I looked at my family and I said, I don't want to live that way. I want to be something better. I want to put myself out there to accomplish other goals. But it was very, very hard. It was very, very hard for me because I always had this fear of success. So I am one of those people who will start a project. I know I can do it. I know I can finish it. And then I get halfway done or almost all the way done, and I'm like, I can do it. So I just leave it where it is. And that has, it's like that has made me look back into my life and think, there are things that I regretted, but I have also come to the conclusion that everything happens for a reason. We do things to get to where we're at today, right? And I think you don't really understand that until you get older. I think as a young kid, I never, ever, ever believed in myself. I never thought that myself, I guess my self confidence was not what I portrayed. It was always a fake self confidence, like I got a scholarship to go to college to play volleyball, and um, I felt like I wasn't worthy of that, even though I worked my ass off to get there. Um, I don't know. I just feel like there are so many times in life where we're under this pressure to be perfect, to have our household together, to have our shit together. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I didn't get myself together till I was 37. And the thing that pushed me over to get to where I was at 37 was being drugged at a bar. I was 37, still going to bars, still hanging out at bars, still partying, whatever you want to call it. And it's amazing that when you quit doing that kind of shit, that you find out who your friends are, you find out who your circle is going to be. Doesn't matter what age, but at 37 was when I decided, you know what? It's probably time to get it together. It probably is. Um, it took me getting drugged. It took me actually getting broken up with, devastation, right? And then it took me going to a bar and getting drugged, and for some idiot to literally think that I wasn't drugged, to literally think that I was that drunk. Are you serious? I'm driving. Like, I'm not stupid. Um, and it took me that long to finally wake up and smell the coffee because I mean, you think about it, they expect these perfect things from us, society, yet we're not taught these perfect things. And one of the things I'm talking about is when I was in high school, we learned how to write a check, we learned how to sew, we learned stuff that didn't matter, stuff that I wasn't going to use in my lifetime, like algebra. I'm never going to use algebra. Please, I can barely add as it is, and I hate math. But we didn't learn about finances. We didn't learn about credit. We didn't learn any of that. And that shit is important. That's the stuff that you need to know. But it was stuff that we weren't taught, you know? Um, I've had to learn that together doesn't mean polished, it means honest. It means asking for help. It means letting the dishes sit in the sink because your soul needed to rest more than your kitchen needed sparkle. And it took me a long time to get to that point. I mean, I was, like literally, I'm at the halfway mark, right? I'm actually past the halfway mark if you think about it. I'm 53, so I'm past the halfway mark. I mean, even if I live to be 100, right? I'm past the halfway mark. So, um, there were moments where I dropped the ball and I survived. Surprise, surprise. I'm working on some stuff at work where I won't get into specifics, but there's a project that I've been working on for literally since 2023. Um, and I've done some stuff, but my boss came back and said that he needed this, he needed that, he needed this, he needed that. I've dropped the ball on that. I did indeed, but I've picked it back up, and it's okay. I lived like nobody died. Oh my God. I don't have to always be perfect. And my boss wasn't like, he didn't ding me for that. He didn't say, you know what? You didn't get this shit done. So no, he did not. Um, I think we've come to a point where how do we define success or failure? There are things that at work that I'm still learning. I'm still learning, and I think one of the biggest things that I have learned when it comes to work, I'm talking specifically about work, is you always were taught that if your team fails, you're a failure, right? I mean, that's how we always have viewed that. But to be honest, one of the things that my boss has instilled in me was I'm not responsible for other people's uh, careers, for other people's inability to do their job. That's them. They choose to make a choice, but that choice was made by them, not me. I can only give you the tools to success. But in the end, that success is up to you. And for a long time, I always felt like it was my fault. If somebody didn't succeed, it was my fault because the team didn't succeed. But that's not true. I mean, we all take our own paths. We all go our own ways, right? And I think that is something that I have had to learn over the last 3 years. Over the last 3 years of being a supervisor and a manager, was to manage my team, to understand that I've given you the tools, I've told you what I need, I've told you what I want. But if you don't do that, that's not on me. You are the one that made those choices. And that is what I'm practicing instead of perfection. I mean, if I'm still practicing perfection, I'm worried about what you're doing, how you do it. And I think that taking responsibility for you and your choices, that's not me. That is not my responsibility. If I give you the tools, I tell you what I need, and you don't make that deadline, that's on you, not on me. It doesn't reflect that, oh my God, Kayleen's team wasn't performing because she didn't instill this in them. But if I've instilled this in them, then that's on you. And yes, there are bad managers. We all know this. Okay? There are bad managers, and we hear a lot of things now where people are saying, people are leaving because of bad management. Well, shit. Maybe people are leaving because they suck at managing themselves. So I think we have to look at it another way. You know, I think it's a lie in the background, and it's a myth that you are responsible for other people's crap. That's on them. I really do feel that that's on them, and I think that it's hard for us because society has always been like, you need to do this, you need to do that, and it's your fault if the team fails, and blah 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 blah. Um, some of the other things that I am practicing instead of perfection is grace over grind. You know, we all grind. We all put in those extra hours. Man, there are days when I'm like, "Oh, it's 3:30, I'm out." You have to push yourself out. You have to choose boundaries over burnout. I truly believe that if you don't have boundaries in place, or that you can't put those boundaries in place, that what's going to and Sue is you burning out, you not liking your job, you not, it's I think it's a rarity that we get to a point where we love our jobs. And to be honest with you, I love my job. I like where I'm at, and it's taken me a long time to get there. A long time to get there. It's taken me the last 3 years. I have loved my job, and that is the first time I can truly say that I am somewhere that I love. I am somewhere that I like to nurture people. And this is a deal. Somebody told me in the workplace, like, hey, um, look for the leaders, look for the leaders in that interview. And you know what? They're absolutely right. When I look for the leaders, I don't care if you're 21 or you're 41, but if you can find those leaders, those are the ones that you want working for you. You know why? Because those are the ones that will work hard. They're not going to sit there. They're not going to game the system. It's amazing. Sometimes they'll game the system, and when they do, though, you got to put them in their place. And then you've got to make them see what they're doing. And that's a totally different story. But there's some people who don't care. I mean, I look at my job and I look at people, they gain, you know, they gain their PTO and they're like, earn it and burn it. And then, if something serious comes up, they don't have that PTO. And then it's your fault because you're coming down on them. That's not my fault. You had a choice in the matter and you've chosen that. And I can't change that. I can preach to the choir all day, which I do anyway. I preach all the time about, make sure you have time. Make sure you're able to do that with your kid. Make sure something doesn't happen and you need this time off, but it's not there. So make sure it's there. Um, One of the things that I have learned about myself is this is enough. I am enough. Progress, right? Progress over polish. This is enough. I am enough. Even when it's messy, if you've been holding your breath, trying to keep it all together, which is what we do, it's okay if we exhale. Doesn't mean that you're behind. It doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means that you're human. Um, there are times when um, the world we live in, right? Um, it's a world of highlight reels, curated feeds, and hustle culture, right? Um, and somewhere along the line, doing your best got replaced with doing it all. And here's the truth: no one has it all together. Not the influencer, not your boss, not even your therapist. I'm pretty sure that your therapist probably doesn't have it all together either. But the myth thrives, I believe, because we're afraid to admit we're struggling, right? Um, but pretending has just become exhausting. I mean, it has become exhausting for me, for sure. And I think that it keeps us disconnected. Being exhausted keeps us disconnected. I mean, look at social media. Take a look at social media. Um, Most people that are on social media, right, are different on social media than they are in real life. And the thing about it is the intuitive people see right through it. We all know that it's a bunch of BS, right? I mean, I don't care how fancy your house is. I don't care the kind of car you drive. I just don't care. Um, but we know that some of that is just myth. It's um, the societal norm of keeping up with the Joneses, right? Like we always feel like we have to keep up with the Joneses. And I know a couple of Joneses, speaking of Joneses, and they're awesome. But that's just a term that we've used over the years, right? Keeping up with the Joneses. But you know, it thrives because we keep it thriving. We're like expected to do this, we're expected to do that, we have to do this, we have to do that. Your house has to look this way, your car has to be this way. And that, my friends, is a societal norm, right? Like, what is a societal norm? And I think some societal norms are okay because I think we need order, right? That's why we need the police, because we need order. Because think about this: if we didn't have the police, it would be like the wild, wild west where freaking people were just shooting people just cuz. I mean, I would love to shoot just the stupid people. I would love to tax just the stupid people because it would make life a lot easier. But I mean, is that moral? I mean, somewhere along the line, though, folks, we have lost our moral compass. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the moral compass and what has happened. And we'll talk about that probably the next show. I think the next show will be about our moral compass and how we have lost that as a society, or at least as a society in the United States, because we've definitely lost our moral compass. But we got the media, the social media perfection. I mean, look at all these people that were like, you guys probably know her name. I don't know her name, but I do know that I read the story about the mom that had like all these stepchildren and was doing all this great shit, but in the background, she was starving these kids. And she put it out there like everything was perfect, everything was grand, but in the background, it was found out that she was starving these kids. She was mistreating these kids. Um, the pressure to perform across roles, parent, partner, professional, we are taught that we have to be perfect, that, with our partner, we have to have a great relationship. We have to, oh, we have to put it out there like everything is hunky dory. Well, I mean, I'm in a 19-year relationship. Is everything perfect? Absolutely not. Is she my best friend? Absolutely. Is she amazing? Absolutely. Do we get along? Absolutely. But when we fight, oh, do we fight? And it is not pretty, folks. It is not pretty. But it doesn't happen that often, because one of the biggest things is communication. We communicate. We may not always like what the other person is saying. We may lose it for a second, but we know that we can come back together and we're going to be okay. I mean, I don't know that I've ever really come to the point where, oh my God, this is it, and she might be different from me, and she might have gone to those places of, oh my God, this is it. Blah, 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 we need to break it. It's anyway. It happens. It happens. But we're not perfect, but we're good. Relationships take work. We all should know this. Um, the emotional toll that comparison takes upon us is crazy. You know, um, all we are taught at a young age that we need to compete against each other, especially women, especially women. And I think I've said this before, we're taught to compete for that football player, for that quarterback. I mean, who the hell decided the quarterback was the one that we need to compete for? What about the running back? I mean, he's probably just as cute. But my point is that we all have been taught that we need to compete for the same men, and that women should not hold women up. And that to me is probably one of the worst things we could ever do as women. As women, we have been pitted against each other. We have been pushed to believe that we have to be number one when it comes to that one guy. He's cute, he's great, he's got it all together. But then you go for that guy and you find out he really doesn't have it all together, right? Because he's under pressure. He's under pressure of being the greatest football player that ever lived. And then when he doesn't go to college as that quarterback, oopsie. My point is, these are all made up societal norms. I mean, what is normal? I mean, I do believe in morality. I do believe in sharing. And I think a lot of people didn't share when they were kids. And some of them are probably only children. But um, I think these myths have gone on for a long time. Um, I'll be honest with you. I'm not perfect. I know that's a shock to you all out there. Um, and you're not perfect either. However, we feel like we have to have this facade out there that we are perfect. And I think that social media is one of the worst things that ever happened, because there's a lot of people behind the keyboard that become keyboard warriors, and we all know what those are. I don't need to give you an explanation of that. But it's a myth of always having it together. We all don't have it together. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you have $1 million in the bank. I don't care if you're a billionaire. I don't care if you're the poorest soul on the planet. You do not have your shit together. There is at least a few things that are going wrong in your life. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't have it all together. I just don't. That's facts. There are things that about me that just aren't together. I don't sleep 8 hours a night. Hell, I'm lucky to get 4 to 6 hours a night. Lucky, lucky, lucky. I don't have it together. And that's because there are decisions that I should be making, for example, but I don't have the discipline to make those decisions. For example, I have pills that will knock me out, but they only knock me out for 4 hours. But I could take those pills. I could go to sleep at a decent hour, but I don't because I'd rather stay up and watch that show. I'd rather binge that show. And that is on me. That means I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect either. I bet you. I bet there's a lot of you out there that strive to be perfect though because we are expected to be perfect. We have expectations from our mothers, our fathers, we have expectations from our siblings, we have expectations from yourself. And I think this all started with society. And when we don't live up to those expectations, we feel like we are the scum of the earth. But you shouldn't feel that way. We are all going to make mistakes. There are some things we're not going to make it through. There are some things where we're going to need help. We're going to need help. I have been seeing therapists for probably Jesus, man, I am 53 years old. I promise you, I've been seeing a therapist since I was 14. So it's just a thing. And I am wholeheartedly one of those people that believe in therapy. I believe in therapy. I don't care what anybody says. Whether you like it or not, I go to therapy and it's fine. But I am not perfect. And that is a myth. I think that anyone who claims that they have it all together is full of crap. I mean, you look at all these people, right? You look at all these people with money. You look at Hollywood. You take that for an example. Um, we think that money is going to buy us happiness. Money is going to, solve all the problems of the world. And technically, it's probably not. It's probably not. Look at all the stars that have either jumped out of windows, off themselves, or on Skid Row because they couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. Fame is an awful thing. I don't know that it's a good thing. I think that once you um, step into that arena of fame, that you give up a lot of your autonomy, period, because people are crazy and everybody wants to know your business. And it's just got to be heartbreaking, heartbreaking to go through that. But they're not perfect either. So nope, money doesn't buy anything. Doesn't buy everything, and money is not perfection. And money is not having it all together. I think, no one, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Pope. I don't care if you're the president. I don't care who you are. Nobody has it all together. And we're all going through stuff. You know, you don't know what anybody else is going through. But yet we want to sit there and we want to judge. We want to tell people how they should live their lives. Let me tell you something. We shouldn't care about how other people are living their lives because technically, I mean, if you believe in the Bible, if you're a Christian, you're supposed to love your neighbor. It doesn't matter what your neighbor does, who your neighbor is, who your neighbor loves. And one of the things I would really love for people to do, stop pretending that you have it all together and realize that you are not responsible for anybody else's soul. Period. You are responsible for loving thy neighbor the way they are. I mean, get it together in that aspect, right? Um, if you have been holding your breath, trying to keep it all together, this is your permission to exhale. We need to breathe. We need to think about things, you know? I Here are some things that I'm practicing instead of perfection. And this is really hard for me because I was brought up in a time where I'm sorry, where perfection means everything, right? Like, oh my God, you have to be the best volleyball player out there. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that, you have to do this. And I think that, I was very involved in that. I mean, I've had to really, really think about what it means when it comes to the pressure to perform, when it comes to, letting things lie, letting things stay where they are. And I'm practicing certain things instead of perfection, grace over grind, boundaries over burnout, progress over polish. I'm learning to say, this is enough. I am enough, even when it's messy, and like I said earlier, if you've been holding on to your breath, trying to keep it all together, this is your permission to exhale. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just human. I'll be back next Sunday with another solo deep dive. Until then, stay soft, stay honest, stay grounded, and keep talking amongst yourself. You can do it. I know you can. You can let go of having to be that perfect person because none of us are, and I'm not either. Thanks for listening. See you next week.